We're back! Welcome to episode 2 of Stine Revisited. This has been, well, I don't know about long awaited, because I don't know if you guys were interested in continuing this series. But for those of you who were, and were just waiting and waiting, I apologize to you, because I promise I will try to be more on top of these, because I want to give you, I do want to follow through with this series. I want to give you guys what I can give you, you know? But, anyways, like I said, welcome to episode 2 of the Stine Revisited series. And today we are going to be focusing on Book 2, as well as the adaptation of the episode adaptation. Now, what can I say about this book? I had a lot to say about Welcome to Dead House. This one's gonna be a little trickier, because there's not really a ton to this one. I mean, there's a ton of stuff here, but it's just not it's not just quite as eerie as Welcome to Dead House. But basic premise of this book. It focuses on the Brewer family, and it's all about the scientist who's also a father, Michael Brewer. He's a botanist, so he works on plants down in the basement of the family home, and over time, his work has basically becomes an obsession. So he spends more time down in that basement, this hot, damp basement filled with these moaning, breathing plants. And he just becomes he acts more and more distant from his family and from his kids and his wife to an extent. He doesn't say hi. I mean, he says the occasional greeting to them when we first meet them, but over time he solitudes himself down in his basement, and he just works on his experiments. And the reason for that is because he was recently let go from the university after, I guess, an incident happened where someone could have gotten hurt or killed from one of his experiments gone wrong because he wanted to prove something. But as we delve more and more into the book, we understand more about the relationship this relationship within the family. And when we first meet the family, like I said, when we first meet the Brewer family, things are kind of innocent. But Dr. Brewer doesn't want his kids going down in the basement, for reasons we will understand later. And one day, when their father has to take their mother to the airport, because the mother is she's not really like a prime character. She's there obviously, but she's kind of in the background because she had to go to Tucson to take care of her sister Eleanor, who's in the hospital. So she's kind of there, as a reminder that the series of mother, but she's kind of she's not really relevant to the story. And neither is this other character called Diane, who's a friend of Margaret's. She's there, but she's not really relevant. The main focus of the story is the relationship between Dr. Brewer, Margaret, and Casey. And as the book progresses, Margaret, like at first, Margaret suspects that something is really off with her father, with their father, I should say. Casey does too, but he's not. He's not quite as interested, and he just kind of like he just kind of it's just assume like he just does his own thing and just working at the firm. They should just leave him alone. So as the book progresses, we see more and more of like Dr. Brewer does some weirdly strange stuff. Anyone who's read this book will know what I'm talking about. But the main thing I want to talk about is with this book. There's almost an underlying theme of sadness to it, because the relationship between Margaret and her father is almost non-existent. She always talks about how her father doesn't even call her her nickname Princess anymore, or Fatso, which is not really. Margaret isn't really a heavy character. They call her that because she was so skinny. I don't know how that works, but I guess I don't know. But yeah, it's just I think it's a very sad book, and there's a couple of very eerie moments in the story as well. Stuff that we all remember. Like, for example, like the scene, like there's a scene where Margaret is going downstairs to get some breakfast, and she sees her father at the sink gulping down plant food, and the way he eats it is very he eats it ravishly. He just scarfs it all down, and that was just a very eerie scene. And eventually, Eventually, we understand that he tries to make them eat plant food as well. He tries to feed it to them, but the wiser, they refuse and they discard it. So, and then it's just I don't know what else to say. It's I just don't think it has quite the punch that Welcome to Dead House did. It wasn't. It just depends on who's reading it. I thought there were some eerie moments, and it was just a very sad read. But yeah. And it's as the book goes on, we see that Dr. Brewer becomes more and more aggressive, and we learn that the twist in this book. Spoilers, by the way. This, like I said in the last one, this will be a spoiler series. So, you've been warned. Those of you who read this book, we all know the twist that the father who's been living with Margaret and Casey this whole time is actually a human plant hybrid. That the real Dr. Brewer, who was locked up by plant Dr. Brewer in the basement and the closet, he gives an explanation at the end of the book how that happened. Was he was working with he was doing DNA splicing, and he cut his hand on a slide, or a microscope slide, and some of his blood mixed with a mixed in with the plant molecules. And that's another thing with this book that's really kind of another thing that's really, really spooky about this book is the way that Stine describes like the stuff they see down in the basement. It's like the plant doctor brewer. His experiments are like he explains to Margaret and Casey what he's trying to do down there is he's trying to create a hybrid of a plant and animal. He's taking cells from both plants and animals and trying to combine them, and he's like trying to create like a plant-animal hybrid. And we kind of see that down through Casey and Margaret's perspective. We see like plants that are described as having human limbs, but they're also plant-like. So we see like green arms and yellow hands and even plants with faces on them. And just reading that, it's so freaking eerie. And then when you watch the episode and you get to actually see what these things look like, it's just very, very gross and unsettling. And it was just a very unsettling like description, which I loved it, but yeah, it's just what it is. And I won't tell you, in case you do want to read this book, I won't tell you what the outcome is at the very end of the book, how they eventually overcome like the plant Dr. Brewer. I won't spoil that for you in case you do want to read this. But those are just my basic thoughts. Those are just my overall thoughts on it. I think I really enjoyed this one. I have kind of the same feelings as when I was a kid. I really like the characters in this one, and I kind of like the relationship of the Brewer family. I think they're likable for the most part. There's nothing really about them that just kind of annoyed me. I mean, and I like the relationship between Margaret and her father and Casey were really interesting. But yeah, it's just a very kind of, it's almost damaging in a way. I'm gonna say damaging, it's not damaging, but even though it's a very sad read. And yeah, it's just, I just don't think it's quite as, it doesn't hit as hard as like Welcome to Dead House. But that's just my opinion. Yeah, I already rated this book. I already gave this book a rating. I would give it like a 3.6. I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was interesting. It's just one of my personal favorites of the series, but that's just me. And quick little like thoughts on what I thought of the episode. The episode I think is really good. I think it stays mostly faithful to the original. I think it stays mostly faithful to the original book, into this book. Obviously, they actually changed the way how they overpowered the plant doctor from the book to the episode. I think for censor reasons, but I think everyone in the episode, like, casting-wise, like, there's not a ton of big names in this episode. I mean, none of the actors I recognize anyway. I'm sure somebody would recognize them somewhere. But let me show you something real quick, pull it up real quick. sure I show you this picture. Just like when I said that the descriptions in the book, like how he described how the plants kind of like have human features. This is how they show it in the episode. So if you can see that. That's how he describes it in that book. That's freaking creepy, isn't it? Okay. Now, the actress who played Margaret in the episode, tell me she doesn't kind of resemble a young Melissa Joan Hart. She kind of looks like 90s Sabrina the Teenage Witch. She kind of looks like her, doesn't she? I'll show you that again. Yeah. Just wanted to share that with you. But yeah, guys, the episode was like, I thought it was pretty decent. It was obviously there's like, I watched the show a lot growing up, so there's kind of the nostalgia of it. But watch it again, I think it holds up a little bit for a pretty just a pretty good book in my opinion. There's not really else I can say about it. It's just I mean, if you're really curious, I would suggest just reading the book or something, give your own conclusion of it. But I just think it's a really, really kind of okay read. And one other thing I wanted to comment on was the very ending. So, the final page of the book is when Margaret is all by herself in the backyard. I think she's tying her shoe or something, and like a flower, kind of like her flower just kind of nudges her foot, and it says this: "Margaret," the flower whispered, "help me. Please help me. I'm your father. Really, I'm your real father." A flower says that to Margaret. And that's an interesting way to end the story, because it gives us more of an idea. It gives us like something to think about. Like, is the father they say from the closet their real father, or is something else going on? Was like the mother says when at the end, where she says she didn't know about any of like her father, Dr. Burr's experiments, but like, what if she was in on it? Like, what if she was in on it, the whole thing? That would be interesting. That would be a little more interesting. I'd like to know that she was in on it the whole time. What if she was a plant copy as well? That would have been really cool. That would have been really interesting to see. But what it is, it's okay. I really enjoyed it. So, yeah, like I said, I gave this book like a 3.5. I liked it. So, yeah, not quite as long as the first episode. I'm trying to keep it as a very strict kind of. I'm going to try to keep it under 30 minutes. These reviews under 30 minutes. Just quick cut, straight to the point. My reviews on them. If I have more to say about these books, the reviews will probably be a little bit longer, if I have more to say. But I don't really have a lot to say with this book. I just wanted to give my basic thoughts on it. I just have to say I really enjoyed it. So, yeah. Thank you guys so much for sticking around and waiting for this long weighted reviews of these Stine reviews series. I will continue to do these because I love reading these books. I love revisiting them. And if you continue to watch them or just like comment or like whatever, I will continue to make them for you. I have a lot of books to get through. I can assure you of that. So, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.